All right. So, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's been a crazy couple of days, and I've had really crazy dreams as well.
Okay. Cool. I'm really into dreams and stuff. I've had really vivid dreams ever since like my whole life. And my certain people in my family have been known to have prophetic dreams. So they'll dream something, wake up the next day, look into it, and it turns out to be true. So,
Wow. And you have that as well?
sometimes mine's not as direct. Like, my mom, for example, can like verbatim exactly what she dreamed is exactly what's happening.
Whoa.
Mine's always once removed. So, like, for example, I love how we just like hit the ground running with this. When I was in
That's my personality. It's like kind of by accident, but this is just how it goes.
well, the biggest example was in elementary school, I had a dream that my best friend died. And I went to school the next day and was very distraught because she was not there. And come to find out, she had not, but her grandfather had. So mine's always been like once removed or to this.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I started having kind of psychic dreams about eight 9 years ago, 8, 9 years ago, kind of after I had a spiritual awakening. And then I started to have, and it would be every once in a while. And I feel like my dreams, they warn me about things in my life to help me. And one time I had met this guy and I just felt like I was in love with him. It was the weirdest thing. It was almost like he had drugged me or something. I felt like I was so in love with him. And that night I went to, and I mean, literally, like after a day after meeting him, I felt like this. So I went to bed that night and I like prayed and I asked my angels like to please show me who he really was because I was like, this is very weird. And I was in Iceland at the time. I was in Iceland for a month. And Iceland is a very spiritual, mythical place. They have a lot of folklore. And so in my dream, he was in my dream and then he like shape shifted into like this scary face, very scary person. And then I told him, I said, get out of here in my dream. And then when I woke up from the dream, I was like, oh my God, this is not a good person. I knew. I was like, there's something up with this guy. I don't know if he practices like some kind of magic or something. And he was like a businessman. He was like a very successful businessman, but I was like, there is something off. I mean, I almost feel like he put a spell on me to make me fall in love with him or something. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's funny because at the place I was staying, there was an Italian bartender who had like a little crush on me and like would flirt with me and he was so cute. And he saw me with him and he goes, because the guy with this Icelandic man was not very handsome. And he goes, I do not understand this. This is impossible. And so I told him what had happened to me because I was, traveling alone and he's like, he put a spell on you. He goes, there's weird things that happened here in Iceland. He's like, he probably did something. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, no, 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 that's impossible. Like, no, no. But then after the dream and everything, I thought that could be possible. Like that could be possible. Then I found out like he was a Freemason.
Okay.
And I don't know much about all of this, but anyway, going back to the dream, is like my dreams, especially when I ask, they give me like they give me insight and
Hmm.
like show me what to watch out for. Even with friends, I had a dream about a friend once, and after that, I'm like, okay, she's not a bad person. She's not good for me to be around right now. I have to let her go. And so and then the last few days, so on Saturday, there was like a planetary alignment.
Hmm.
Did you hear about this?
I did.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I don't know much about it. I just know
Me
there was
neither.
There was some kind of crazy things are happening. And there was some kind of planetary alignment. And something insane happened Saturday. Insane, which I'll tell you in a minute. But there was a planetary alignment, and then I was like looking it up after what happened on Saturday. And they said you're going to have really vivid dreams and you're going to and for the last few months I didn't remember my dreams when I woke up, but then the last couple of days I woke up going, "Oh my gosh, I've like I felt like I was like there." It was so vivid. It was
Mhm.
such a vivid dream. So, okay, what happened Saturday is are you down to hear this?
Please continue.
Okay. So, okay, Saturday was actually a really great day. I had to do some filming for the publishing company for my new book, Confused Girl, Find Your Peace in the Chaos, which I talk about a lot of this stuff in the book, manifesting, destiny, all that good stuff in a very practical way. But anyway, I had to do some filming to send to my publishers. So I did like 3 hours of that, which you have to be like 100% on when you're doing that.
It's
Got that?
exhausting.
It's exhausting. Yeah. So I got that done and I was like, woo. And then I was going out with these four girls. And one of the girls I had been introduced to through a friend. And then the other girls I was meeting for the first time. So I was excited. I'm like, girls' night. So I got all cute and go down to the restaurant. So I show up and I meet the girls. Then another girl comes, right? And I'm like, so these girls over here were talking. And so I started talking to the girl that just came who was in front of me. You ask all the typical questions like, where are you from? All of that. So I said to her, I don't know, I just made this comment. Again, it's like the intuition in this is crazy and just what had to happen to lead up to me meeting her there, total stranger, all of these things. It's so insane. Um, so I say to her, "Oh, well, good luck finding a relationship in LA." And she goes, "Oh, I'm actually in one." And I'm like, "Oh, well, that's great. How long has it been?" And she's like, "Oh, it's been a year." But she said, he wants to get married. He's looking into marriage, and I don't know how I feel. I'm really confused. And I'm like, "Oh, you're talking to the right girl because I'm confused, girl. I can help you." I wrote a book about this stuff, about being confused. He's like, "Yeah, I don't know. Just I feel like something's off, but I can't put my finger on it." And then so I was like, "Oh, well, what does he do?" Right? So she started telling me what he did. She told me where he's from. And I'm like, "Oh my God, is his name blah, blah, blah?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "I went on a date with him last month." And she goes, "No, no, no, no. It's a different person. It's a different person." And I was like, "I don't think so." So then I was like, "Doesn't his mom live here and his dad lives here and he has a sister?" And then da 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 da. And I just had like way too much information. So all of a sudden, the girls sitting next to me were quiet and they were like in this conversation, like, "Oh my God, we cannot believe this is happening." So then the girl was like, trying to take a picture of me to send it to him. And I'm like, "No, no, no, put your I tried to grab the phone out of her hand and we almost got into a fight about her the phone, like me grabbing it out of her hand. But I was trying to protect her. And I was like, "Please, please, just don't send him anything. Put your phone down." I said, "Let's figure this out. Let's get the information, and then you'll know what to do from there." And so I told her, I actually forgot I had text messages from him. And I showed her the text messages. It was his number, his full name, you know, um, it couldn't be denied anymore. Like she couldn't deny it. And and then it was so crazy because we posted him on a couple of different groups, his picture, found out that he's been dating girls the entire time. I just went on one date with him and I did not like him. I just had not good vibes. And he's been out with girls the entire time that he's been seeing her. She had no idea, no idea. And he was talking about marriage with her, and she was confused. And I think she was like struggling with herself. Like I think she felt like she was the issue. Because, hey, this man wants to marry me. What's my problem? Like, I love him. What's my problem? You know? And so it's just so crazy because I feel like the universe just put me right there to be like, I'm going to give you your answer. You know, it's just, and because the planets were then, see, I didn't know about this planet alignment, but the other girls were there were like, this is crazy. This is happening because the planets are aligning and there's some crazy energy outside right now. And I'm like, oh my God, this is way too crazy. This is like, this is the world is so magical. It is so magical. And when you are confused about something and you ask for the answers, you
Hmm.
know, you're asking, and you will get them.
Yes.
And you might not like what you get. Like
Nope.
she didn't like it, but in the end, she was super happy about it. I mean, happy. She was super grateful. I gave her a big hug. And she was like, honestly, thank you so much. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I know you're hurting so badly right now. And I feel so bad for you. But I was like, this was all supposed to happen because we live in a huge city. We are in Los Angeles, with like one of the biggest cities in the world. And
Y'all found each
how this, and he's been doing this for years, this guy, getting away with it. So it was just like, whoa, like whew, blown away.
Yeah, that's how it happens, though. It's how it unfolds if you're looking for the answer and open to hearing it. Because if you're not open to hearing it, it's not going to come through. Because, again, like you said, most of the time the truth hurts. And most of the time we know the truth. We just don't want to admit that we know the truth. And we want outside validation over and over and over and over and over again. It's got to drill into our head before we actually believe it or accept it, I shall say.
Yeah, yeah. And you mean like outside validation from
Everything.
like
We think we need outside validation for literally everything from other people, from culture, society, the media.
work?
We're always looking for that outside validation. And it's what really hinders us in our progress in all of the departments, because if we could just show up for ourselves and validate ourselves, we would make much quicker progress in all of the things.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you just said all of that because literally that's exactly what happened to me. I get this on such a deep personal level because I was like a bottomless pit of neediness. I actually was told that by somebody back in the day. They're like, you're a bottomless pit of neediness. And that is an awful thing to be told. Like, that is,
I mean, I was too. It's okay.
I think,
Most people who find themselves in front of a camera, in front of other people, have the same problem.
right? And no, and I was a bottomless pit of neediness. It was so spot on. And it was miserable. It was miserable. And I kind of lived my life to be very competitive, to be very to excel.
Mhm.
And I cared so much about what other people thought about me. And I literally dated guys just because they gave me the lip service and told me how great I was. And you know, those guys are usually the narcissists and the sociopaths. So
Sure. Yep, sure are.
yeah. And so I was very much all about the external validation. And it just got to a point where the external validation wouldn't even make me feel good for a hot second anymore. Because at least before it would make me feel good for a hot second. And then I'd feel better than everybody else. And then something else would happen where I wasn't the number one. And then I'd feel like, you know, inferior. So it was like, I talk about this in my book a lot. I say you're on a teeter totter, like
Hmm.
you're on a teapot. Sometimes you're like up here and then other times you're down here. Um, and so, but it got to a point where even when I would get the validation, somebody would say something nice, it didn't even feel good anymore because I
Hmm.
knew for me to feel good, I had to feel better than somebody else. And that wasn't true. I wasn't better than anybody else, but I also I didn't have less value than anybody else either. And so I fell into a really bad depression and where just things in my life were not moving forward. All the things I had defined myself by, I had lost. I was
Hmm.
single. I didn't know what career path I wanted to do anymore. I was unemployed. I was broke. I just fell to this to my rock bottom.
Hmm.
And that's when I made the decision that, okay, I need to get myself out of this. This is so painful. And the goal is, and my only goal at that time, it wasn't a man, it wasn't let me go out and find money or a career or whatever to make myself feel better. My goal was I want to feel good in my skin just because I exist.
Hmm. Yes.
I I don't want my self-worth to be attached to anything outside of me. Because the problem with doing that is once that's taken away, who are you?
Hmm.
You're nothing anymore, right?
Well, once the dopamine dissipates also, and you drop right back down because you get that dopamine hit from someone being like, "Oh my gosh, you're so pretty. Look at your outfit. You're doing so great." But that's not actually what your soul wants. That's not the validation it's looking for. It's just a dopamine hit. It's just a high for a moment. And then once you get tolerance to that, it actually has the opposite effect. So like the more people tell you you're pretty, the more you're disgusted with it. You're like, oh, but that's not what I'm like. And most people, we don't even realize for a really long time. It's like, yes, tell me I'm pretty. Yes, tell me again. Tell me more.
Yeah.
Tell me all the things
Yeah,
you like about me.
exactly. Exactly. And then it gets to a point where it's like it feels bad.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of it feels
Because it's a drug.
painful. It feels painful. It's like painful because you go, maybe I'm not pretty every day. Maybe I'm not pretty every day. Like maybe today I'm just having like a good day. Maybe tomorrow I'll wake up and not be as pretty and then I'll feel bad.
Or
It's
it's
like if you
like that's so superficial. Have you met my personality? It's way prettier.
exactly,
And
exactly.
nobody looks past
But
that.
that also takes a certain level of confidence. Even just that thought, it's like that takes a certain level of confidence, you
It's a
know?
build.
It's yeah, yeah. So it's very I just love that we got on this conversation because like this is the whole beginning of my book. It's fantastic. And I just got to this point where I'm like, I can't do this to myself anymore. It's too painful. And so I went on this journey of figuring out how to feel good just by existing.
Mm,
I did figure that out, and I was able to pull myself back up. And I remember I woke up one day, and this is after months of doing certain things and being in a routine to kind of reprogram my brain and how I saw the world and how I felt about myself. And I woke up one day and I had like this joy and this gratitude in my body, and nothing in my life had changed.
mm-hmm.
It was just this feeling of like, oh my God, I feel like so good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because that feeling did lessen, but it never disappeared. It's like always in me now, and I can always go back in there and like connect to it if I need to. So, and then after that, I was like, okay, well, now what am I doing here? Like, who am I? I know I have a basis of self-worth that needs to continue to evolve and grow, but I don't have I'm not hating myself anymore.
Good.
So it's like, now what?
So what had changed?
Well, I mean, as far as
Feeling like you needed the external validation to, well, and you want to talk about like what caused it in the first place? Like, because I mean, a lot of people have a lot of what causes a lot of people to need that external validation is not getting the validation they need as a child. So you grow up and you've never, because children aren't capable of validating themselves. They just don't know. They don't know how the world, anything. They're blank slates. So parents have to fulfill their needs. You know, they can't feed themselves, they can't make sure they stay hydrated, they can't pick out the good foods. Your parents have to do that for them. And we forget that emotional and mental validation is also part of a child's needs. But
Mhm.
historically, we haven't really put too much emphasis on that in parenting because, I mean, they have clothes on their back and a roof over their head and food in the kitchen. What more do they want? These little selfish brats that take everything for granted. And it's like, no, you don't understand. That's a need just like everything else. And you have to help them learn how to cultivate it themselves before they can go off and be independent and whole in themselves. So, and
I,
which leads a lot of us to be, you know, looking for that validation we didn't get
mhm,
until we figure out how to fulfill that need ourselves within ourselves instead of
mhm.
looking to other people.
Exactly. No, oh my God, spot on. And I actually write about that as well. I write about how, parents also, we can't, they're doing the best that they can with what they know.
Sure.
And all of this, like, therapy stuff and self-help stuff really came out in our generation.
Yeah.
It really wasn't a part of their generation.
No.
Their generation was like, okay, let's get married and get the mortgage and get the, and then get the kids and take care of the kids. And they really thought if I meet their survival needs,
Mm-hmm.
and you know what was a big thing, at least for me growing up, was like, oh, I got to make sure she does dance and she does soccer practice and she does this and that. And my mom even said, back when she was growing up, there wasn't all this pressure to have the kids do so much. But for my generation, when I was a kid, and my mom's generation of being a mother, there was this pressure of your kids because you don't want them to miss out on any opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It was like this intense pressure of they need to go to soccer practice, they need to go to dance lessons, they need to go to piano lessons. I want to give them all the experiences. I want them to do all the things and figure out, what they want to do. And um and then I think they thought after that 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 was enough. They weren't educated to help you with your psychological and emotional well-being. It was
Stop crying, or I'm going to give you something to cry about.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think that even, if you had a great family, and my parents were great people. Sure, there was a bit of, there was a bit of narcissism, there was a bit of things, but um they were really good people who did love us so much and did everything for us. But still, I came out feeling like I had no self-worth. And I think that is because of everything you just said and I just said right here. And I really hope that there is a balance too between babying your kids. Like now everybody's like, everybody gets a trophy. Maybe not everyone should get a trophy. And maybe you got to teach your kid how to lose. But that shouldn't affect their self-worth. It's like almost now we're doing something else that's weird. It's like everybody gets a trophy. And it's like, no, but that doesn't work either because you're not teaching them how to deal with rejection and teaching them how to deal with the things that you're going to have to deal with in life. Like things are not going to meet your expectations when you go out in the real world. Like mommy is not going to be there to give you your trophy when things aren't going well. So it's we have to be more intelligent with the way that we're parenting the children and teaching them. And you actually see this. You see this too, right? Back in the day, guys would come up to you and hit on you, and you would reject them, and they're like, whatever, on to the next one. It didn't phase them so much. Now, oh my God, especially in these cities, guys like will barely come up to you and hit on you because they're so scared of rejection. And now you hear guys taking rejection like so horribly.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think it's because they come from this generation of I deserve my trophy. And the thing is, we can all get our own trophy. You just might not get the trophy in running. You might get the
Always
trophy in,
different trophies. Yeah.
huh?
Everybody's got a different trophy.
Everybody has a different trophy. It's all about finding your what you're good at, what you enjoy. And honestly, if you are enjoying your life, that's a trophy. That's like the biggest trophy.
It is. It really is. We have to, so we overcompensate in an effort to find balance. So if we're, it's the teeter-totter. If we're way over here, then we're going to be way over here before we can balance it out in the middle. And it's just trial and error. It takes a little while. But also
Yeah.
it can, our culture, th this is one thing we do share with Eastern cultures is that this might be like a mostly global culture of not all countries, but a solid half of us hold our self-worth in performance and cultural, societal, community validation. So achievement culture essentially is what it is. So
Yes.
especially if you're in all of the extracurricular activities, you feel the pressure to achieve high standards in those extracurricular activities in order to stand out amongst your peers and get the trophy because you're
Hmm.
competing against them, right? When you're in a group setting of sports or like sure there's team sports, but there's also like um let's see, like music has a lot of like competition, and so you're not working with the person next to you as much as you're trying to outcompete them because you want to be first chair flute.
Yeah.
You don't want to be last chair flute. You got to
Yeah.
prove yourself and be better than them. You got to practice hard.
Yeah.
Valedictorian. There's all sorts of performance
Faith.
problems that affect our
Uh-huh.
psychology as children. When, yes, you're absolutely right. Being happy is the trophy. That's what we should be striving for.
Yeah. I I I really do believe that. And I mean, I think it's good to kind of go through all of these things, because that's the process of life, right? It's like to be here is to feel pain and is to suffer
Mm.
to an extent.
Yeah.
But if you can if you can grasp onto a higher set of wisdom, okay, the suffering decreases.
Hmm.
But if you stay in the like matrix, right? If you stay on the roller coaster ride of I need the new achievement, I need the new this, I need the new that, I need to be the best at everything, I need to keep, then it's like it's going to be painful. But it's like to experience that and then to go, wait, 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 hold on. Life is short. There's so many beautiful things to experience here. I want to do some things that make me happy. I want to enjoy this ride. Then the suffering decreases, you
Hmm.
know, and also when you find your self-worth, when you find your self-worth and you don't attach it to things, you're inevitably going to have a happier existence than most people.
Yeah.
Most people are attaching their self-worth to something.
Oh yeah, for sure. And perfectionism is a lot of what you're describing. And that comes from the idea that everything needs to be structured and categorized and clear cut and clean and following all the rules and where it's supposed to be. And life is actually a complete chaotic mess of a shithole. And
Yeah.
learning to accept that and surrender to that and just let go of the control because there is no control. The only constant is change. Nothing's always going to be like you feel it's supposed to be. And yeah, the more you're attached to all of that, the more painful it is going to be because yeah, we're all going to hit the end of the road. Even the best, longest of lives are too short. So instead of trying to figure out how to win validation from other people and outside things, which is a losing battle from the beginning, you can just start looking inward and like, all this cheesy stuff that the spiritual gurus tell us, all the answers are within. But I mean, like, it is.
I know, but it is true. I know. It's like sometimes you feel like you're repeating things. But it's the truth. And this is what I have such a hard time understanding. And probably because I've already done it and gone through it. And I'm like, hey, it's not so bad. I don't understand what is this aversion to going inward. I don't understand what the aversion is to
Very.
looking at your demons and you're facing them because you're not so bad. It's
It means taking responsibility, though, and that's work. And a lot of
Mhm.
people don't want to do that. They want to play the victim and say, oh, but I can't because XYZ, this person did that and that person did this, and I can't because I'm suppressed because of this and that and whatever. But the truth is that you can be happy if you just choose to be happy. And you do that by just saying, fuck everything else. I don't care. But it takes
Yeah.
a lot to get to that point.
Yes, it does. It takes a lot to get to that point, and it takes you going, inside of yourself. And honestly, it takes 10 minutes of meditation a day
Mm-hmm.
just to connect.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a yoga class. It takes, just doing something consistently for yourself to connect with yourself. That's really all it takes. It's so simple. It's like just every day find a moment to connect with yourself. Like I love taking baths. I'm a bath girl. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'll go in the bath, I'll put my Epsom salts in there, and then I'll just like sit in there and I'll just like connect with myself, or I'll go do a yoga class or take a walk by the beach. And I just spend like quiet time with myself. And the quiet time with myself, it becomes my superpower because
Mm-hmm.
when I'm out in the world and I'm like, something doesn't seem right here. I need to get out of the situation. I get out. I
Mm-hmm.
probably saved myself from so many bad situations because I have like a pretty good sense of intuition and I listen to it because I have that alone time and I am connected with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so sad that people will spend a lifetime going out and like trying to grasp on to all of these things in desperation.
Yeah.
And desperation masked by confidence, like a false sense of confidence, to then feel horrible when all you had to do was take
You're
time
in
to
that.
connect with yourself. And it's just like, oh my God, no.
Yeah. But, people tell themselves they don't have time because, they have to binge the new season that just released and they gotta,
Watch the news.
yeah, scroll on Facebook for a little while and get their TikTok fix. But I have, so I teach yoga and it's a yin restorative yoga focused on meditation. So most of our class is spent on like rolling around on the floor. We sit and we lay down to do stretches for the most part. We do very little actual, like the yang, the hard work, the where you're sweating, like, strength building, because the mental work is more powerful than the physical work. And you can find physical workouts are a dime a dozen. They're all over the
Yes.
place. So engrossed in the physical appearance and how we think that should be, but nobody wants to do the mental work because the mental work hurts more. Emotional pain. Ask anybody who's uh, been abused. Emotional and mental abuse is 1,000 times worse than physical abuse. They'll tell you every time, I wish that they had just punched me in the face instead of tore me down little by little the way they did. And we do the exact same thing to ourselves. We take ourselves to the gym and work ourselves ragged in an effort to shape our bodies into something that we think it should be when we could what a better use of our time would be to take a bath and sit with ourselves and our thoughts and be like, why do I feel like I'm not enough in the first
Yeah.
place? Where did it come from? Who gave that to me? Who gave me those beliefs? Well, who gave that to them? Why did they do that? And then you backtrack it and you realize that your parents were hurting just as much as you are.
Yeah.
And they didn't know how to, they didn't have the internet. They didn't have the world of knowledge at their fingertips. They were, again, doing the best that they could with what they had available. And nobody even knew what psychology was, much less that there was a book about it, maybe hopefully in your library that was hopefully accurate. But
Yeah.
they wanted to
And
go
and
through it.
Yeah, and like for instance, yoga, just yoga itself, without, let's say, reading a self-help book or anything, yoga within itself helped me so much because, again, of the mind. It would quiet my mind down, and I have such a hyperactive mind.
We
And it
all
would,
do.
yeah, yeah. And it just gave me that peace. It just gave me a little bit of relief. And even after yoga, I would still feel that way.
Hmm.
And it's like, yoga wasn't mainstream when my mom was raising me.
No.
It was only kind of like the hippy dippy ladies that knew about yoga and did yoga, but there wasn't like a yoga studio on every corner like Starbucks. It's it's that's a very new thing. And it's so funny because my mother loves yoga. She does yoga a couple times a week now, and she absolutely adores it. But yeah, they just didn't have the things that we have. So we do have to give them like a lot of grace for
Yeah.
that.
Forgiveness.
Yeah,
That's something
yeah.
our culture has a hard time doing is forgiving. Because, forgiveness is almost a dirty word to a lot of people, a lot of people, because we have this, it has a connotation of being, uh,
Accepting what
yeah,
happened.
enabling. Like if I
Yeah,
forgive them, it means that what they did was okay. And that's not at all what we're saying. We're saying that they're human. And sometimes, like, I mean, yeah, should they have just been a nicer person? Sure. Should they have just been more loving and kind and compassionate? Absolutely. Should they have not done those specific things? You were right. They definitely should not have. And we're not saying that it's okay that they did, but forgiveness is about no longer replaying those stories in a victim mindset mentality type of way because as long as that is your backstory that you tie your identity to, then you're just re-traumatizing yourself every time you tell that story to other people in your head when you're thinking about it. Your body doesn't know the difference. Your body is reliving that trauma and that stress if you're thinking about the situation that happened 15 years ago and you're replaying it in your mind. So, true forgiveness is about learning and you don't, and like, they're like, I'm not going to tell them that it was okay and that and no, you don't have to. You can forgive them without ever having contact with them. And it's just about
exactly.
letting go,
Yeah. It's for
release.
your
Yeah.
it's for yourself. And it's true. You do, because I had something happen to me that I had a really hard time letting go of. And I feel like it's just recently I was really able to forgive and kind of unburden myself of it.
Good.
But yeah, but I would, when I would tell the story, it was like a re-traumatizing. I'd get angry again and then it would fester in me
Sit around, think
and
about it for hours afterwards.
yeah, yeah, and just like, and then the anger builds because then you think about this and this and this and this and this, and then it's just like, oh my God. And now I'm just like fuming, and this is not serving me. And then it does put you in this victim mindset, and you might be a victim. You might
True.
actually have been a victim,
Yeah.
but we don't want to live our lives as if we don't want that event to then make us a victim for the rest of our lives. We get to be a victim for a time and say that, that happened to me. I was a victim. That wasn't good. But at some point, we have to let that go and go to more empowered state, because if we remain a victim, then they won.
Yeah, well, and it's allowing that situation and circumstances to dictate and control our decisions moving forward. So now we're making poor decisions still out of those things that happened, and we're not even aware of it. But if we can go into our mind and now like sort through all of the chaos and all of the three, four, five-dimensional mess that it is, then we can see, oh, I'm making these decisions because of this pain that came from that event. So now that I'm aware that these decisions are being made, these decisions are causing this new problem in my life, and that's why I can't seem to escape this particular cycle, then I can start to release the story, rewrite the story in a way of, okay, well, since I'm choosing these guys because of the external validation needs I have from this event, then what different stories and decisions and mindsets can I put in place next to these? Because at first, you're not going to be able to just wipe the past and your
Yeah.
belief systems and your mindset, but you
Mhm.
can tie new ones to those. So
Mhm.
then, when it happens to come up, because it's going to come up again, you realize it quicker and sooner, and then you can shift. You be like, oh, wait, 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 wait. Okay, sorry. That was my old story. Here's my new story.
Yes.
Okay. New story me does this. Because now I'm not like I was a victim, but now I'm the superhero. I'm the hero in the story. So I dug myself out. I'm my own knight in shining armor. I'm rescuing me. And this is
Yes.
how we're gonna go now.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. It's so true. It's so true. And I actually, you know, talk about that when it comes to failure.
Hmm.
I actually don't think failure exists. I think it's like it's a perspective, and like any perspective, you can change the perspective. And failure also is it's something to keep us stuck and fearful. So how can you fail at something when you try to do something new? If you try to do something new and you put yourself out there, how is that a failure? I say it might not have met your expectations, but it's not a failure. You
Giving up
didn't,
is failure.
huh?
Giving up is failure. Quitting is
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
is
or not even attempting.
yeah. Yep.
Not even attempting. But if you tried something, because a lot of things I've done in my life too, it's like, you know, uh, a lot of it didn't meet my expectations. I
Sure.
had like
Most of
really
it, I imagine.
right, yeah, exactly. And I would get, upset about it and then get down on myself. And then I realized, you know what, that's just old programming and that's not real. I've had the most amazing adventures. The things I have done have given me amazing opportunities and experiences. And how is that a failure? Maybe it didn't make as much money as I wanted it to make or whatever, but that's just, it didn't meet is that expectation. But I tried and it worked to some extent. So that's a win.
Hmm.
So I'm like all about taking the wins and then just learning from the rest.
Sure. Absolutely.
And I think like the whole failure, oh, I failed at that, so I can't try again. I can't do this again. It's just to keep you stuck and fearful, and it's just not real. It's not real. And I think with a lot of different things, you can change your, perspective, even with dating and when it comes to being like you feel like, oh, I was rejected by that guy. But it might not even be like a rejection because of you. It's because of them. It's because
Possibly.
it's always it could be even he's attracted to people that look like his mother and you don't look like his mother.
Honest to God,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, it's it's like
He has
it's
mommy issues.
yeah, yeah. Or his mother is a really quiet woman and you're a loud woman and he wants a more quiet woman. But
Hmm.
that doesn't mean that you're not worthy and you're not good because there's going to be another guy who's like, my mom's loud and I like loud women, or I like quiet,
Hmm.
my mom's quiet, I like quiet. And it's so it's it all it's never personal. It's like never a personal thing if when you really look at it, because also people have like so many different tastes and preferences, and attraction too is such a odd thing. You're a lot of times you're attracted to your hidden desires, like your unmet desires, again from childhood, the way in which you weren't loved. Like I was attracted to men who would validate me verbally, and which is very dangerous. Get over that one, girls. Don't go through what I did. It was freaking horrible. I definitely actually, it's a red flag if you're over validating me. If you're love bombing me, red flag goes up. Probably not going to go out with you again. But it's your attraction a lot of the times comes from your unmet desires. And it's so interesting because I have evolved so much, and that's been my main goal has been to evolve. And then I'll go out with these guys and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what? They're not connecting with me or liking me because I'm now on a different playing field. I'm
Yeah.
not operating in like my weaknesses and my like had I been the girl that needed validation, this might have worked. But I'm not that girl anymore. And so there's no attraction.
Hmm.
And it's so interesting. And I've found, and this is the difficult thing about the beautiful and difficult thing about healing is once you've like you're healing yourself and you're growing, you're evolving, y- you know, what lies at the top, there's not too much at the top. There's a lot at the bottom, so when you're in your weaknesses and in your own crap, you'll find a lot of other people like that.
Oh yeah.
But as you grow and evolve and you're rising to the top, there's less people at the top. And I'm not talking about finances. I'm talking about
Okay.
just pure, I feel good about myself. I love myself. I'm not bogged down by things I used to be bogged down. You
Hmm.
know, I'm happy hanging out with myself, doing trips by myself. And then when you meet people, it's can be kind of difficult because it's like so they're still in their crap
Hmm.
and you're like, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this.
Hmm.
So it can be a little bit of a lonely journey.
Absolutely, it can be. It's like
I
a crabs in a bucket. You know that analogy?
Yeah, no, tell me that. I think I've heard of it.
So crabs in a bucket, if they pull each other down. So if one
Mm.
tries to start to climb out of the bucket, the other ones will grab hold of it and pull it back down.
Oh, I love that
And
because that's
people are the
exactly
same way.
it. That's exactly it. Because and you got to be really careful because when you hang out with those people, and they're not bad people, they're just in their
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
Haven't done the work. They
And
just
they can
haven't
be
done.
really deceiving as well. And like because they're deceiving themselves so well that they also deceive you. So you're like, oh my gosh, we're into the same things.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
read the same books and I want to travel too. And but then when it comes down to the things and you really start to get in there, you're like, oh man, this is a shell. This is a
Yeah, exactly.
shell.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't mean anything that they said,
Nope.
which is so crazy to me because when I do say things, I really like I mean them. When I say I'm going to do something, I show up, I follow through. So when people don't do that, I find that incredibly shocking. But I think
Same.
it's yeah, it's like it's actually painful for me. It's
Hmm.
pain. I'm just like I don't understand how this is happening in our society and our world. But I think it's exactly what you're talking about. It's exactly the crab in the bucket thing. I think it's really, um, it's just people that haven't done the work. They haven't done the work. And when you have done the work, you can't be around the people that haven't for too long.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to get pulled back down into the bucket.
Yeah.
And so it can be very lonely. And I've actually have been It's interesting. Late December, early January, even people got taken away from me. I actually realized, I love this person. They actually have a really great heart, but I can't be around their behavior.
Hmm.
I can't do it anymore. It's like, no, it's a no. So I've had to kind of remove some people that I didn't want to remove.
Hmm.
But I did it because I'm like, I'm going places. I know where I'm going, and your energy is the crab in the bucket
Holding
pulling
me.
me down. Their energy is, and they don't mean to do it, but the energy is. And so, and I got really mad at like God, and I was like, God, I guess you just want me to be alone. And it's like the holidays, and I guess you just want me to be alone and not have anybody. And like, I don't know why you're doing this to me, and I went into like a whole like pity party moment. And then after that, I was like, okay, you know. I trust you when things are going well, so I have to trust you when things aren't going well.
Hmm.
So I'm going to trust that you want me to be alone right now and take this time to be on my own, to be in my own energy, cultivate what I need to concentrate, what I need to concentrate on, not be distracted. Maybe you want me to raise my frequency, my vibration. And I'm just like, whatever it is, fine. I accept and I'll do that. And then I got really comfortable with it. I got really comfortable with it. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, this is just I'm on like less social period. And then what's so interesting is, my friend who's in Austin, Texas said, "Oh, I have a friend in LA. I think you'll really like her. You guys should go out." And I love this girl now. I think she's so kind, like totally my vibe. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is so great." And then she invites me out with her girlfriends. And then from what I told you in the beginning of the conversation about what happened there, and
Hmm.
it's like, oh, when you align yourself, then like magic starts to happen,
Literal.
like literal magic. And I even think this girl who I went on a date with, her guy, I actually think her and I are going to become friends.
Good.
We've even messaged each other. And I said, I'm sending you love. I'm so sorry what happened. And she's like, thank you so much. Thank you for having my back and all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, actually that could become a friendship.
Mhm.
And it's very interesting. So a lot of people don't want to go through the alone period. And I get it because sometimes I don't want to go through it either. But if you can just accept it and trust, because again, you have to when you can't just trust when things are going really well and flowing. You got to trust when things are happening that you don't want to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like if you can just trust and go with it, then things are going to come to you that are way more aligned. And the things that come to you are the things you actually want.
Yes. You got to make a mess to clean a mess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's easy to put that. The analogy I always use is if the closet is full of junk that you've just been shoving in there that you didn't want to deal with for 5 years, and now you want to organize and clean out the closet, you now have to pull everything out and destroy the bedroom and go through it one by one and put it back. And that's easy for people to understand in the analogy of the closet. And, you got to make a mess to clean a mess. But people
Yeah.
want to put it to the same comparison of relationships, because relationships, there's nothing more impactful in our lives. There's nothing more beautiful and wonderful and vibrant and fulfilling, but there's also nothing more painful than our relationships. And that can be a really hard navigation. And then when you are on this self-improvement journey, people do fall away because we get stuck stuck with the comfort in the devil, even though people are miserable, doing work to change their lives and get out of that misery is scary to them. It sounds like a lot of work. The brain wants you to stay in the environment that it's familiar with. It doesn't matter if that environment is abusive. It wants you to stay there because at least it knows what to do here. So if you're stepping out of your comfort zone, that's the ultimate scary. And a lot of times people who choose to do that do so alone because and the crabs in the bucket, at first everybody's going to tell you you're crazy. They're going to be like, what are you doing? What do you mean you want to move to LA? What do you mean you're going to start eating that way? Are you sure that's good for your health? I don't care. No, what do you mean? They don't even see all of the studies and the research that you hand them. They're like, no, this can't be good for you. And they'll do everything they can to hold you back because they want to validate their own choices of holding themselves back. And that can be really hard. And it does get really lonely. And then you get into this pattern of, well, now I don't trust anybody. And like, Oh, here's a new friend. Yay. Oh, don't get too attached. Don't get too attached because most likely they're going to hurt you too. So then you
Yeah.
hold yourself back. It's such a delicate dance. And we just have to learn, teach ourselves new patterns of just unattachment, but
Hmm.
love and compassion. And
Yeah.
whatever happens, trust that it's for the best and it's not personal. You don't like everybody you come in contact with either. So, if we vibe, we vibe. And if we don't, we don't. So, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's all so true. I don't even like know where to go with that because you just said it all. I have nothing to say on that. You said it all, girl. I mean, that was beautiful.
Thank you. I've been around a few times.
I can tell. I can tell. I mean, no, really, it's been so great talking to you because you've done your work too. I can tell.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to walk the walk and talk the talk or whatever, whatever.
Yeah, and same. Same.
It can be really scary though when you're it's one of the reasons I do the podcast is because I could not for the life of me find anybody who could meet me on my level in
Mm.
real life vicinity.
Yeah.
And when I could, it would be great for a while. And I'd be like, yeah, yeah. And then lo and behold, they weren't actually practicing any of this stuff. It's just stuff that they knew about. And then they could connect, they could talk about it. But I'm a doer. Like, I'm not interested in just sitting around talking about things we could do. Uh,
Yeah.
let's actually go do these things because it sounds like fun. Let's actually do it. Talking's a waste of energy, it's a waste of time. But
Yeah.
finding people who are into the doing. Um, yeah, they like to do podcasts too.
Exactly, exactly. No, I completely agree with you. And, to write my book, I moved to Indonesia for a year
Wow,
and
cool.
it was so cool. I mean, I lived in Bali. It was amazing. I lived in the jungle. I lived in Ubud. And, but I thought it was going to be kind of like these people like me who, again, not just the talkers, but the walkers. And I found that the Balinese people, were the walkers. I felt like the Balinese people, they're very spiritual people. They're very good people. They almost have like a light in their eyes when you look in their eyes. But a lot of the expats that go there, they're a little flaky. Not all, but like, it's just kind of this they want to call themselves a free spirit, but yet when you meet them, it's like they don't even have a spirit. And again,
Most of
they're
them are running away from something.
running away from something, don't have a direction, maybe done a lot of drugs. I, I don't exactly know. But and I was just like, oh wow, okay. So nope, not my people actually. Not, you know. Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. So it's with all of this stuff, I'm a Virgo. I'm a very grounded person and I'm I love to evolve. I love to grow. I'm very curious about life. Life to me is very interesting. And for me, I feel like I have some courage and I can like say the things and do the things maybe that other people are too scared to do. So I want to help other people be able to, find their true nature and go on their journey.
Yeah, same.
No, I don't know what you should be doing as far as should I get married? Should I not get married? What career I should have? I can't tell anybody that, but I can give you the tools to connect with yourself to go on that journey and discover something beautiful for yourself
Mm-hmm.
instead of just following what somebody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's and we need that in the world right now.
Yeah.
The world needs to go inward. We see the going outward isn't working,
Mm-hmm.
and this technology is coming in. It's going to take a lot of jobs. It's going to take a lot of things away from people, and then people are just going to be stuck with themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
you like yourself and know yourself. Otherwise, it's going to be really bad. It's going to be depressing if like I will not be. I'll be having a great time
Me
because I've
too.
done I'll be like, oh, hey, don't have to work as much. Like, I'll go travel some more. I'll have, make some more friends, like whatever. But for the people that haven't done the work and they're attached to all these things that they might lose,
Hmm.
you know? So
Yeah.
now more than ever, it's like the universe is pushing us to go inward. It's
Hmm.
like, go inward, people, go inward. This is not working for you.
Yeah. And COVID did that for a lot of people. It forced everybody to go home and sit with themselves for a little bit because they couldn't actually go anywhere, do anything, or talk to anybody or hang out. And that's all it is we've been distracting ourselves from what it is we actually need. And we're and in that we've been really confused about what it is that we actually need. So, we think it's this or that, but those are just band-aids over the bigger problem. It's the dopamine hit that,
Yeah.
it's a drug. It's like
Yeah.
what, shopping feels great for a little while, but ultimately it's going to dissipate and that same hole that you were trying to fill is still going to be there.
Exactly. Exactly. It's so true. And it's the same, it's with like shopping, like that's my mom's thing that she's working on. And she's like when she walks through a store, she gets like a little glimmer in her eye and I'm like, "No!" Like trying to direct her out of the store. I'm like, "You got what you need. Keep it moving, lady. Keep it moving." But it could be even men in porn.
Oh yeah.
So then when they go out, they no longer care about meeting women out because they can go home, watch porn, have their little toy. And so it's a lot of bad addictions.
Oh,
A lot
everybody
of
did the same
bad
thing. It's just trying to channel that into something positive and productive rather than harmful and stagnant.
exactly. Exactly.
And a lot of other cultures are a lot better at that than that's probably why you felt like the Balinese people were like, yes, it's because like a lot of, especially the smaller cultures, um, they're more attuned to nature and themselves and each other and the community and because we're all starving for we put a lot of words, a lot of definitions to a lot of things, you know, uh especially like trauma based and like narcissists and abuse and cognitive
Yeah.
dissonance. So we have a lot of words for a lot of things. And in the end though, we all are needing the same things.
Mhm.
It's for that kid again that needs the food, water,
Love.
shelter, love, connection. And it's that
Yeah.
love and connection that we're missing. And the community, everybody's lonely. Even the people who seem like they have like the big hordes of friends. And, when we had the friend, like we're connected until we're not. And like there's still it's that community aspect that we're missing because people are great and they'll help you and they'll support you and they'll love you as long as it's convenient.
Yes.
And
And
then
that's a very
oh,
LA thing. That's like hyper, that's like, that's so LA. I mean,
I bet. I've never, well, no, I have been. I was 6, I've never been.
LA on crack.
My husband and his family is actually from out that way in, it's outside of LA. What is it called?
Santa Clarita or
It's next to Bakersfield.
oh, okay. So the Central Valley.
Sure.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, his brother grew up out there. He was out there for a little while, but moved out this way with their mom when he was like 6. So he's more accustomed to this area, but his brother only just moved out this way a couple of years ago. So he had a hell of a culture shock coming out here.
Ah, I love it.
We went out there and visited. So I've been to LA and it was so funny because his grandmother picked us up at LAX, and I had because I don't know, I'm in Alabama, so
Okay.
very different world. And when she picked us up, and I had a tank top on with jeans that had holes in them from the top to bottom. Okay, this was I was like 19, 20, and first thing she ever said to me was, "Well, honey, is it hot where you come from?" I was like, yeah, yeah, it is. And she was like, oh, is it? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, it's like 98 degrees out there right now. Because it was like June. And so we're like smeltering out here in June. like 98 degrees, but the heat index is
Oh
like
my
110 and it's humid. So like
God.
yeah, it's hot here. Most of the year. It's we get very small winters. But anyway, the weather was very mild and that's what she was used to. And she was just like, what? Like I don't think I even brought a jacket. It was June.
Oh my gosh,
Froze to
that's so
death.
funny. Yeah, well, the Central Valley gets really hot. Not it's a dry heat, but it gets hot. But the if you're on the coast of LA,
Which is where we
it's
were.
yeah, very mild.
Tennessee.
And then at nighttime, it gets cool where you do need like a little sweater or jacket, like even in the summertime,
Hmm.
you would need like a little sweater to walk around in. So a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
They think like it's like Florida, but it's not
No.
at all at all.
It's like a
It's
solid 72 degrees
yeah,
all
exactly.
the
And then at
time.
night it gets cold because it's like desert climate.
Uh-huh.
And so and very dry and yeah. But oh that's so funny. That's crazy.
Are you from
I
the
love
area? Where are you
Uh,
from?
uh, so I grew up 3 hours north of LA in a town
Okay.
called San Luis Obispo. It's like a small town. And then, but I've lived in LA for many years now, but I travel a lot. I leave a lot. And oh yeah, that's what we were talking about the ball. I'm like, where were we? We were talking about the Balinese people. Well, I think yes, you're very correct in what you said about them. And I will say this about them as well. They're very much people that are in the present moment.
Hmm.
They're not thinking too much about what's happening in a year from now or where are we in a year from now. They're very much always in the present moment. And they have their spiritual rituals and they have their things. My dad made a really great observation because my parents came to visit me when I was living there. And, they don't have a lot of money. It's a third world country. And my dad goes, this is so interesting. He goes, these people are so beautiful. He's like, they are not envious of us for what we have.
No.
Being Western people that come over there with money. And he goes, they're not trying to scam us. They're not trying to get more money out of us. But Thailand is. Thailand, they are envious and they do try to get your money. So it's very different. It's very different. But the Balinese, they're not like that. They're like very welcoming. They treat you very respectfully. Like, and my dad's like, yeah, they're not envious of what we have. They don't care. They're happy with their people doing their thing. They're not a envious culture.
Hmm.
And I thought that that was really interesting because even in third world countries, a lot of them can be envious and they're trying to marry somebody from a different country or they're trying to, get out and what they'll do anything to whatever, but survive. But in Bali, these women weren't trying to find a white man to marry and get out, they were like, nope, we marry each other and we have our ceremonies and we do our thing, we take care of each other, like
Hmm.
very, very happy people. It was very interesting to see. And it was funny to see my dad see that. My dad was so sharp, like very, you know. But anyway, girl, I gotta run.
Okay.
But I had such a great conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, tell people where they can find you.
Oh, okay. You can go to my website, confusedgirlinthecity.com, and you can find my book there and pre-order my book. And you can follow me on Instagram at confusedgirlla.
Awesome. All right. Well, you have a great day.
Okay, you too. Mwah. Bye.